Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're so glad you're here with us today. In this week's video, we're breaking down our May spending. It was a very high spending month. There's a lot to cover. I hope you'll stay tuned for the whole video.
Every Wednesday here on our channel, we come out with a new video, typically talking about our early retirement or our nomadic lifestyle. In 2015, we left our careers in our late 40s and retired early. And in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads.
We hope that you'll give this video a thumbs up, even though you may not want to because we have gone so far over budget, you may be tempted to give it a thumbs down. Please don't. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe over here. We have been talking about our spending every single month now for 2 years. And this one is the big doozy, and it may be longer than any other spending video we've done yet, but there is a good reason for it, and I think we're gonna maybe bring some insights into it. So even though it's longer, I really hope that if this is something that you're generally interested in, that you'll watch the whole video.
We target spending about $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year. You'll see, even from the thumb, you will see that we spent way over that this month. And we're going to talk about sort of the details of that, why this happened, what it means to our lifestyle, what it means to just sort of everything that's going on with our spending. So this is a lot of information packed into this video.
And really it comes down to, can you live a nomadic life for $36,000? That's really what this video is about. And I don't think that we've covered this as much for 24 consecutive monthly videos. Let's start with how much did we spend in the month of May? Buckle up, because it's $9,349. That's right. Against a budget of $3,000, we spent $9,349. Whoa.
Ew. Before we launch into breaking down what makes up that number, we're going to tell you where we were for the month of May. So we're here in Silver Spring, Maryland on a 12-week house sit. We've had an incredible time while we're here. And so roughly a few weeks ago, the homeowner came home for a 2-night stay in preparation for a 3-week vacation, which she was taking in the middle of our sit. And we made a vacation ourselves. We went to Williamsburg, Virginia, which we were very excited to go there. We've been there on multiple occasions. Williamsburg is a fantastic location just to go, especially if you have a family. They have this thing called Colonial Williamsburg there, which is really cool. It's where it's set back in the 1700s, and the people do artisan type work, and it's just a really cool experience to have. The property that we stayed at was called the Williamsburg Lodge. It's a Marriott property, and it's right in the heart of what's going on in Williamsburg.
We didn't even need to drive anywhere.
We didn't. We paid for both our lodging and our family's lodging. Amy's mom and stepdad joined us for the thing and for our little vacation, and it was incredible. We had an amazing time. So we paid for this using certificates that we have accrued. So we talk a lot on our channel about credit cards that we use for points and miles. And so every year we have multiple Marriott cards that we pay $95 a year for. So we keep these cards year after year after year. And for that $95, they give us a free night certificate. And so we're always looking for the best way to redeem these points and miles. And this was a fantastic way. So these things that we've basically paid $95 for, we were able to get $300 worth of value because the hotel rooms that we stayed in Williamsburg were roughly $300. So that was $300 each, so for every night. So it was $600 for our room and $600 for Amy's family's room, and so my family's room. And so we spent $1,200 of value we got for these Marriott certificates that we had. It's sitting in my account.
And not only that, but because Tim has earned status through all these credit cards and also from past business travel, a lot of it from his all these credit cards that he has from Marriott, we also received a free breakfast in the hotel restaurant. So kind of an open menu breakfast. And every day we received the 2 rooms, $50 in food and beverage credit. So we started our evening twice in a row with a happy hour cocktail, and then we go out to a nice dinner. So it was just really nice. And as far as a little travel bit, Williamsburg, Virginia, if you haven't been here, absolutely get here. Whether Tim mentioned it's great for kids, and it is. I went as a kid myself, but it is amazing. I think it's even better as an adult, actually, because it is so incredibly educational. So it's for all ages. The problem is because of COVID, they have like these little, I don't know, like the shoemaker and the hat maker and the pharmacist and the barrel maker and the cooper,
the basket
all of
weaver,
this,
the candlestick
all of
maker,
these, and they really have all those.
Yes.
But they're really small little shops from the 1700s, and you come in and they're making all this stuff because they're using all the candles and everything and the wigs and the shoes in Colonial Williamsburg. So it's really hard during COVID to have these small spaces with people. So most things were closed. So once it's open, great. I would not recommend going for Colonial Williamsburg until it is really, really open, because that would kind of be a waste of money, I think. It was still a nice place to visit.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started with our number one category, and that was health and fitness. Now, we're both going to share this because this is a doozy of one. I had a massive surgery in March, and you saw a huge hit to our budget in March. In March, we paid for the surgeon, the surgical assistant, and half of the money to the surgical center. Well, the balance was due in May, so we paid the other half of the surgical center. We paid for the pathology of what was removed just to make sure it was not cancerous, and it wasn't. And then we also paid for an anesthesiologist. So the fee that for this, so our health and fitness, I should say, was $37.94 just this month.
Yep.
So if we're looking at $3,000, having a health bill of $37.94 is totally gonna like knock you out. And so, but the surgery piece was $35.70 just for May. We'd already paid a certain amount, and that made my surgery $65.74 total. Now that blew away my almost $5,000 deductible. I still haven't met my out-of-pocket maximum. I'm getting close because it's about $8,500. And also, we've mentioned this before, we never know in America when the bills are done. You just know when you just haven't had them in a long time. And we do use the ACA with Blue Cross of Texas. They've been absolutely amazing. They process things really quickly. So we have been very happy with them. I think that this was actually not a bad deal for the kind of surgery that I had. But yeah, so that's a lot of money. And $65.74 for the surgery. And we don't know if there's any other bills coming. It would be kind of surprising because I don't know what else they would bill us for.
And the other chunk of our healthcare, or another big chunk, was Amy went to urgent care right before we went to Williamsburg. She had an ingrown toenail. We tried everything we could at home to sort of address this issue. Nothing was working. She's like, I am in so much pain. So we called a podiatrist. Actually, we called multiple podiatrists trying to figure out what this was going to look like.
Financially.
It was crazy, the pricing that the podiatrists were putting out there to deal with this. So we
actually,
ended up...
the podiatrist one was $350, one was $480, and one said, we can't quote a price. I said, can you give me some range? They said, no, we absolutely cannot. So I called urgent care and said, can you help me?
So if you have any experience with urgent care here in the States, it can also oftentimes be ridiculously expensive. So we were expecting this was going to be completely crazy, but they said the max was going to be $300 to $299. No matter
they
what
do not charge
happens.
more than $299.
So we were sort of suspect, but we thought, okay, we're going to go in, we're going to have them deal with this. And so not only did she have her toe taken care of, and the guy did a fantastic job. I think he spent about an hour with us. Basically,
2 hours.
Performed surgery on her toe, gave her local anesthesia and her toe, and she's had a lingering issue with her back, so she got an X-ray included in this $239 is what the price tag for this ultimately was. So
it was incredible.
Maybe we're going to have our primary care physician be this urgent care in
it also
in
included muscle relaxers, a prescription.
It was an incredible value. So we were very.
It was like we were outside of America at this urgent care.
Who would think we'd be thrilled about a $239 doctor bill? Well, this is one that we were happy to pay.
So I walk in. I said, I remember you said it's not going to be more than $299, and so we came right in. And I said, I'm having this problem with my shoulder. Does it include $299 per incident, or is it for the whole thing? He said, no, for the whole thing. I said, well, then let's do everything. So sure enough, we had the X-ray for my shoulder several times, several X-rays, and wow, like that was, and it turns out that it wasn't even $299. So for $239, we got me hooked up nicely.
It was incredible.
Yeah. So we were loving them. Okay, number two is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but it's business, and it's $2,371. It's 2 items: a computer for me and a phone for me.
Yep. So Amy I picked out a laptop and purchased a laptop for Amy. That was $1,336. I'll elaborate on that. We also bought her a new iPhone for $1,035. So we spent a lot of money on technology this month, and this is predominantly, I am driving this, so it was driven by Amy's needs, and then I actually picked the technology.
Tim's my IT guy.
That's right. And so for the laptop, we have been struggling, or Amy has been struggling with editing for months and months and months.
These videos.
She does not have enough of a computer really to do editing. If you ever go have a conversation with anybody about a new computer, one of the first questions they're going to ask is, what are you doing with your computer? Or hopefully they're going to ask that. And if you talk anything about video, they're going to want to give you a machine that's really doing as big a machine as you can get. And so the machine that we were working on that Amy was editing with is over 4 years old. It just couldn't do the job.
It was so slow. It would take me to do like a 6-hour video. It would take 10 hours. It would just because of tech issues.
And we have friends that I think are in the same space, and they have older technology and they have other software, and there might have been something we could do to sort of stumble through making this happen and continue to take multiple hours to make it happen, and it's just not a very...
And it was getting worse.
And it was getting worse.
It was getting worse.
So this was an investment
same with my phone.
we were happy to make. And same with her phone. Amy has been struggling with her phone. Her phone is... So her laptop was 4 to 5 years old. Her phone was also, I think, 4 to 5 years old. And so it was just time for a refresh of technology. So we're hoping that these devices likewise last for 4 to 5 years. So this is a big expense. We know there are ways we could have bought used technology. We could have looked at other options. But this is just what we wanted to do for peace of mind. And it works with the context of, and also this is a business expense. So these are things that are going to be things that we will write off at the end of the year when it comes to our business. So that's, I guess, one upside to this expense.
And if you may be wondering, what's their business? You're looking at it. This is our business. So we don't make a lot of money on it, but nonetheless, it is our business. And I wasn't able to do any more videos with my old laptop because it had almost come to the end of functionality. So the answer was, you're done with the video channel immediately, or you're getting a new heavy-duty computer.
I do have one thing to say here. So I love technology, and so I have, likewise, I have the same laptop Amy has.
Old
it's
laptop.
4 to 5 years old, and it certainly does what we need to do. If you're browsing the internet, you're word processing, you're doing spreadsheets, it does a fantastic job with these things. But man, Amy's laptop is so, it just
I haven't really touched it yet.
Works. I'm in love with this device, and so I don't.
Tim may be doing the editing.
Who knows? Maybe I'll start doing the editing. But it is a completely different experience than my old clunker of a laptop, which is fine for most.
So maybe are we saying that next month we're going to see $1,300 for your laptop?
No. That's not going to happen. No.
Okay, we ready for number 3?
We're ready for number 3.
Number 3 is when we get into the fun stuff, and it is food and dining. Food and dining, $1,096. We went crazy on food and dining, and we had a blast. So we're going to break that down into restaurants and alcohol, $643, and groceries, $453. So we're going to talk a little bit about this restaurants and alcohol. So in the month of May, it's hard to remember what month we're in. So in the month of May, we were both fully vaccinated, and I was the last one. We were meeting our friends, Linda and Tony. We met them, I think, maybe 3-4 times while they were here. We were all on house sits. We met them before, house sitting friends. So we met them for a couple wonderful meals, and we went for a splurge meal. So the good reason to splurge was I was the last one to be fully vaccinated, and that is something to celebrate. We were so thrilled. So we went to a place called Zetinia in Washington, D.C. It's our 3rd time there. It's a Jose Andres restaurant. We love him. We love his mission of helping feed people in need, in crisis. We support his charity. So we love his food. We love his restaurants. We love him. So we went to Zetinia. And here's the thing is we went for lunch, and we opted to have the $55 tasting menu. Now, if you happen to do any kind of fine dining, you know that $55 for a tasting menu is actually not that much. But they said unfortunately, the service wasn't the best. The food was excellent. The service was just...
It's okay.
Okay is is generous. But they said it would be... We said, tell us a little more about this tasting menu. And they said it's 4 courses. That's all we had. And all 4 of us are really easy eaters. So we said, we thought about it. We're like, okay, let's just do it. So, and sometimes maybe a course would be this big. Like one bite could be a course. Well, that is not what happened. So we had 4 courses is each one of us, each couple they almost took us, a full table of appetizers, a full table next of a seafood course, many things, a full table of the meat and veggies, and a full table for dessert. So it wasn't like 4 bites of food, which we have had in some tasting menus. It was a complete feast. It was such a celebration, and that cost was
how much was it? $168.
$168 worth every penny.
This meal, I think we were full for days, so this was an incredible meal.
I didn't eat for over 24 hours.
Another big expense that we had this month in this food category is we went to Denizens Brewing. This was our first GoWithLess sort of meetup where we had, was it 15 of our
15 people
our
came.
viewers and friends that joined us. So this was incredible. It was at a brewery.
Our first group of them.
Yeah, and we encouraged people, because we were going to be there for a while. It seems like every time we get together, we know that we're going to be there for a while. We encouraged our friends to just buy food when we're there, to
support the
drink
local
all
business.
the beer that you're willing to
them.
drink and support the business. And so ultimately, the two of us spent $92 at the brewery. We were happy to do it. It was a fantastic time. It was money well spent. Something else before we move off of this category, you'll notice we knew when we made both of these purchases that we were going to have a ridiculous month. And so you might, and we'll talk about this later as we go through the video, but we didn't choose to eat rice and beans this month and eat every meal at home and cut back on our food and dining budget. So we haven't adjusted our budget to necessarily account for the fact that we spent a lot of money in other categories. And that's because it really isn't a budget. And we'll talk about that as we get here a little more into the details.
So on our groceries, we tried 3 different meal, well, I wouldn't say 3 different, we had 3 different orders from meal kits. So we did Green Chef, 2 deliveries from Green Chef of, I think that was 3 meals, 2 person, like 6 servings, 3 meals, delivered one week, and then another week we did it again, and then we did Sunbasket. So that is a premium price service. It definitely increased the price of our groceries. We're happy to try that out. So again, we don't, just because we're fire doesn't mean we have to be so cheap. Okay, next is number 4, taxes.
Taxes. $861 we spent this month on taxes. This was federal income taxes. And the only federal income taxes we paid this year were self-employment taxes. So this is money that we earn from our business. So our business, again, we had to pay $861 in taxes for our business. So we didn't pay any federal income taxes. We'd also, because we live in Texas, we didn't pay any state income taxes this year. So this should be the only taxes that we are paying this year that you'll be discussing. So most months, as we talk about our 10 categories, the tax category is 0. This is hopefully the one and only.
It's like our annual taxes.
$861 for our self-employment taxes.
I think I have 3 quick things to say about this.
I have one more thing to say before we move on.
Okay. I wasn't moving on. I have 3 things to say about taxes.
Well, I have one more thing to say about
taxes.
Okay, go for it. So when it comes to taxes, we have a blogger that I read.
That was
that's one. I figured it was. His name is Go Curry Cracker. And he does a phenomenal job just talking about taxes in general. And so I leverage most of the information that I use to sort of come up with our tax strategy came from his blog. And so here's just a shout out to Go Curry Cracker. Fantastic blog if you're looking at taxes and minimizing your taxes or making
from the
sure
U.S.
From the U.S.
From the U.S. Right. So number 1, Go Curry Cracker for federal taxes. Number 2, if you haven't been around for a while and you wonder how we have no state income taxes, check out this video. It's why we moved to Texas. This is our first year as Texans not paying state income tax. So that was great news. And number 3, so what you may notice is we don't talk about any income here. So one of the challenges, we don't have a lot of money made from our business. It's really just our YouTube channel. So, but if we had, say our YouTube channel exploded or something, we had some crazy business earnings, say we had $100,000 of business earnings and a $25,000 tax bill, well, that would go against our budget. So you're not seeing the income side. So I think that this tax thing, because we're not really talking about the income that we made, it's kind of a funny thing.
Also in that same vein, obviously if we didn't have to produce these videos, we're probably not going to go and sign up for a $1,300 computer. We do not need that in our life, and so that would be something.
Some of these are because of our YouTube channel.
Some of these are because. So it's really, we think we don't really know how to report it in a way unless we're talking about the income. So we're just talking about it. But anyway, that is certainly a challenge that we're faced with when we're talking about the money that we spend.
Number 5 is home and lodging, and that is $551. Now, if you remember from our video, I think it was last month, we talked about trying to earn highest end status globalist. Because of COVID, Hyatt has reduced their qualifying nights needed to hit all these status levels in half because of COVID. So we're trying to, their normal globalist, you have to hit 60 nights. Well, we're not going to be near there this year. It's 30. So we knew that was in striking distance because we got a Hyatt credit card and we had a whole bunch of, road trip things where we could buy nights at a cheap Hyatt place on the road, and that was great. But we weren't going to hit globalist if we didn't have some extra nights. So what we did is we bought bought 5 nights in the month of May. We didn't even stay at the hotel. And that was $347 at a Hyatt for 5 nights, not even staying. But not only are we going to get a free night from that, we're going to get points that offset that. We're also going to have this top tier status, which is worth a lot. It's going to be higher end suite upgrades. It's going to be globalist status gives you a free amazing breakfast.
Yeah, so we have some more stays. We have roughly 9 more stays in order to get to that globalist status. We will get there before the end of the year.
We have a plan.
But so just like Amy was
and we're
saying,
going to stay.
and we will actually be staying for the rest of these nights. So this $347 that we spent was we got roughly the equivalent
bought
amount
our status.
we bought our status, and we got roughly an equivalent amount of points back. So it wasn't like we just threw $347 out the window. We also earned a bunch of points, which we will use to pay for stays for the remainder of the year.
And we did try to have people use the room, actually. So one was a 4-night stay at a really nice place, and we tried to give it away. We couldn't even give it away to the few people that we asked.
If we thought about that a little more, we probably could have worked that out to make it
It kind of kills me not to pay. It kills
anyway,
even, yeah. So
the other one of the other charges we had in this category that was substantial this month was we paid $95 for a brand new credit card. The annual fee on that credit card, we signed up for the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card because it had this amazing 80,000 point bonus, and then also it had $50 worth of grocery rewards that we got back. So we were very excited about earning this 80,000 points. We actually already have those in our account.
Because of my medical procedure, we were able to hit the minimum
That's right. So we
spend.
signed up for this basically to pay all these bills. And then what happened is, I think it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, Chase comes out with the best offer they've ever had for the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. It is 100,000 points.
100,000 points.
This is an incredible
It's worth more
card.
than $1,000.
Yeah, and so all you have to
for
do
$95.
is for $95, and you have to spend $4,000 on the credit card in the first 90 days.
Yeah.
So this is a phenomenal deal. Again, the best offer that's ever been made on this particular credit card. So anyway, so you're going to put a link down below?
So if you haven't had a Sapphire card in the past, if you haven't earned a Sapphire bonus in the past 48 months, if you do not have a Sapphire card in your wallet now, then certainly apply for this card if you can make the minimum spend of $4,000 and you're not going to keep that balance on a credit card. We always want you to pay off your credit cards if you're thinking of doing this with credit cards. So again, you're going to have a link right down below in the video description. So, okay, next is number 6, auto and transportation, $354. Oh, okay, we haven't announced this yet. So you know the Peloton sit that I was really, really excited about a few weeks or months ago? It's COVID time, and it was years ago, I don't know. We were supposed to be in Washington, D.C. for 2 months this summer. That canceled. So we were supposed to be in Spain for a house sit for 7 weeks. That canceled. We were supposed to be in Washington, D.C. for 2 months. That canceled. We're now on the 3rd plan, and we are going to Mexico. We are getting on a plane for the first time since May 14th of 2020. We are so, so excited, and we actually hooked up a house sit. Not only did we hook up a house sit, we hooked up a house sit that's our house sit for Christmas this year. So it just worked out that they had an opening because their house sitter was sick. We had an opening because we had all these house sits cancel. So we are flying to San Miguel, Mexico. We are meeting 5 couples there, all kind of random, mostly, not all, but some are like kind of random. And I don't know if you know, like Chiang Mai, Thailand is a place where people just kind of congregate, and a lot of digital nomadic kind of people. San Miguel seems to be kind of like that too. So it turns out all these people are coming to San Miguel, so we're going to be spending 6 weeks in Mexico. We used our United points and miles to book our fare to a little airport, Querétaro, Mexico, which was a fairly expensive airport to fly into because it's so rinky-dinky. So we used points for that, but we did have to pay $221 for taxes and fees because it's an international flight.
And then we did buy a little bit of gas this month. We're not tooling around, but our trip down to Williamsburg, we had to put some extra gas in the car, so we spent $126 on gas this month.
Yeah, we're out and about a lot. Things are open. We're at the museums and stuff. Okay, number 7 is miscellaneous, $182. All of that is for gifts. So we bought our daughter a plane ticket for $152, and we gave another gift. I think it was like $30 or something. So it was $182 for miscellaneous, and that was all gifts.
Yep. And then the entertainment category, we spent, what did we spend in entertainment?
$84.
$84 we spent in entertainment this month. And most of this was, I think I renewed a newspaper subscription for the entire year, and then I had a different newspaper subscription that had hit twice this month for some odd reason for $8. And so this was all just, this
is our TV streaming services and our newspaper services. That's pretty much all. And then we also had $15 parking for one of the museums. So that's actually, that was probably in entertainment, not transportation. So sometimes parking would go in transportation. This was a free museum. You had to pay to park there.
So let's wrap this up real quick. So utilities, $37. That's Amy's Google Fi phone service.
Yep.
And then
video all about it up here, Google Fi.
Shopping for our last category, number 10, $19 we spent on shopping this month. I don't even know what was in
Paper
this.
Space,
yeah,
so
whatever
quick. But we're going to get, okay, so now
so
is
again,
where you got to the end.
$9,349.
But now you got here. So now we're going to have a conversation now that we're all on the same page. So, okay, when we take out the medical expenses, the laptop, the phone, the annual taxes, when we take those out, our spending was $2,323. Very, very reasonable. But things happen in life. And so it's not like you're never going to have any medical expenses. That is reasonable. Of course, you're going to have a phone replaced at some point. Maybe you're not going to replace it every month. Maybe we don't do it every year.
And maybe you don't spend $1,000 for it, but
yeah, and certainly we could have had other options. We wanted to have something that's new because I'm going to keep it until it dies. So, but where this gets us for the year is of our $15,000 that we're at for the first 5 months of the year, our year-to-date target, we have spent $22,043, which is 147% of our year-to-date budget. So we are way, way over budget. But when you take out the surgery piece, which is $65.74, there's still left behind. Tim was at an ER for his diverticulitis the very first day of the year. Those bills came in the first week. We had a new set of tires, brand new tires. We had my computer, my phone, our business annual taxes. So we had some really big expenses. But what you are missing from that, there's a couple things that are humongous that we're missing from our total spending.
Yeah, and so these are things that I guess, when we're talking about, is it possible to spend $36,000 and have the lifestyle that we talk about here on our channel? So there are two big things this year in particular that are weighing on us in terms of that we have that are sort of extraordinary. And so one of those is the only rent we've paid year to date, and that we probably don't intend to pay any more rent until after September. We may pay no rent for the entire year because of points and miles and house sitting. The only rent we paid is $500. That's the only amount of money we spent to have a real roof over our heads.
Forget about
our mattress run travel hacking stuff. So to have a roof over our head, we only spend $500. So that's not a very realistic picture unless you choose to be in house sits all the time. And what we believe that a house sit is a lot like a job. And so that's something that if you're considering this, you might just want to understand that a house sit isn't just necessarily free lodging. It is a job.
Or a vacation.
Or a vacation.
So before you go on to the next one, so our plan originally was about 50% house sitting, 50% other. And the other could be Airbnb or short-term rental like an Airbnb, points and miles, or paying out of pocket. So the fact that we don't have a lot of that in 2021, we're just kind of waiting to be able to go out of the country until we can finally go. Hopefully that will be very, very soon, because after Mexico, we're coming back here. We have conferences and other house sits and things that we've arranged here. So, but the fact that we don't have any rent of any sort or any mortgage, like we don't pay to live, I think that makes this, like, so we're right at our budget, taking out my surgery, but like, so the way I look at it is you can't have like a whole bunch of new phones and new computers, and like I don't think that I don't think a $36,000 budget does accommodate all of that. The past few years we've been reporting we haven't had tires, phone, we haven't had that sort of thing. And then there's another biggie that's missing.
Yeah, and then the other is this year in particular, and this varies for every year, from year to year with us in terms of what we're paying for health insurance premiums. But this year we are on an ACA plan and we have $0 that go to a monthly premium. So obviously we are spending a ton of money for our health care, but in terms of the insurance that we have, we are paying $0 for that this year. And so that obviously is something that
we paid
other
in the
people
past.
can do as well, but it's something that just something to be aware of. Health insurance premiums, most people are paying something for that, and that's something you might want to have in your budget as well if you're looking at something like this and you're trying to spend.
Or expat premiums,
insurance. So again, we just want to put out there that so we feel like we have this budget that sort of, it's very fluid, but it's something that we want. There's some things in it that are hard to potentially replicate unless you're doing things that are a little bit out there. And so these are two big examples of things that we're doing. So at the end of the year, If we happen to make our $36,000 number, which would be a complete miracle, these two things would be the biggest factors in why that number came together.
Which isn't super realistic.
It's not super realistic. And I think that for us, we talk about this regularly, about whether or not we're going to maybe bump our budget up. We've mentioned this before, and $36,000 isn't the amount we can spend, it is the amount that we choose to spend.
And what kind of fits?
And so what fits for us. And going forward, we're going to move back towards trying to spend $3,000 a month now that we have this sort of crazy month out of the way.
We ripped off the Band-Aid.
We ripped off the Band-Aid. But we are not going to do crazy things to try and make $36,000 work for us.
We're not eating rice and beans.
No, I think we've already said that one. We have to come up with another example. Do crazy frugal things. I don't know.
We're not dumpster diving.
Never eat a meal out. We're never going to dumpster dive. We're going to have I think, our extraordinary life for under $3K.
And maybe Mexico will help.
And maybe Mexico will help. That actually is a big part of our plan, is to use this geographic arbitrage thing to be in places that are more affordable. So we'll get to try this out a little bit in Mexico to see how realistic is this. And so we're really looking forward to our trip there.
And one of our viewers on our, if you haven't seen our video about our YouTube group called GoWithLess, one of our viewers said, hey, everybody knows Amy and Tim are aiming for $36,000. In your mind, is that too little, too much, or just about right? And by far, the majority of our people on our page, on our group, I should say, said what Tim and Amy spend is much lower than what I spend. So chances are high that you spend more than what we spend. And the reality is, it's not like we have to go back to work. It doesn't even pinch. Like this is, so we have a buffer. We have a buffer. We've talked about buffers a lot. This is a buffer. So is $9,000 like, whoa, like that's a really high amount? And could we do that every single month? That would be probably not. Yeah, so, I don't think we could.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Monte Carlo simulation. So if we were to spend $9,000 a month, month over month over month, there's some chance our money would last if the market does the right things. And statistically speaking, I think the likelihood
you won the lottery
would go if we. That's right. The chance that our money is going to last till we die if we were spending $9,000 a month would be very low. But so we're not planning to spend that kind of money a month. But nonetheless, we have the room in our budget to spend this in our 3% rule sort of spending model. This is not we don't like the fact that we spent this kind of money this month, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Well, you hate that when I say that.
I do hate it, but it is what it is. And so what we want to know from you is $36,000 or the equivalent in your currency, is that too much? Is that living large? And it turns out people are all over the place, and as long as it fits your math, go for it. Totally fine. This is a no judgment zone. So we used to spend $115,000 ourselves. So anything that's significantly less than that is still a huge win. So again, that was hopefully you stuck with the whole thing. So we knew this was going to be long. We're going to see you next Wednesday. We're moving on soon. We're almost done with this set. We only have a few more days left.
Thank you so much for watching.
See you soon. Adios.